Hey everyone, welcome to Wealth Redefined. I'm your host, Michael Reynolds, certified financial planner and owner of Elevation Financial, and on the web, as always, at elevationfinancial.com. Today, the question is, should I buy a duplex? Very niche topic today, but it's come up a couple times. Some of my clients are into real estate, exploring real estate, and a duplex is kind of a very specific type of property that some people are interested in exploring as an investment and or a place to live or both. So let's talk about duplexes. Buying a duplex can feel like the best of both worlds. You become a homeowner and an investor at the same time. But like any real estate decision, buying a duplex comes with its own set of advantages, challenges, and financial considerations to think about. So before you kind of make the leap and buy a duplex, you want to look at the true costs, the mortgage logistics, the maintenance demands, the tenant management, and the long-term outlook. So let's dig in, starting with what is a duplex, just in case we need a background refresher. A duplex is a residential building divided into two separate units, usually with their own entrances and their own living spaces. Many duplex owners decide to live in one unit and rent out the other, using rental income to offset their mortgage and other expenses. So it sounds appealing, and it can be, but owning a duplex comes with a few unique sets of responsibilities compared to owning a single family home. So cost. There are some cost considerations. At first glance, a duplex often costs more than a single family home of comparable size, and that's because you're buying two homes in one. However, the potential rental income can dramatically change the math. So if the second unit generates reliable rental payments, it can help cover a significant portion, or in some cases, even all of your mortgage. So it's important to go into the purchase with realistic expectations about rent prices in your area. If the rental market softens, you want to make sure you can comfortably cover the mortgage without relying entirely on tenant payments. Also, keep in mind that a duplex can also mean higher insurance costs, property taxes, ongoing maintenance. So make sure your budget includes a healthy cushion for those additional costs. All right, let's talk mortgages. Financing a duplex is different than financing a single family home, but not by much, especially if you're planning to live in one of the units. Many lenders treat an owner-occupied duplex as a primary residence, which often means more favorable mortgage terms, lower down payments, better interest rates, and easier qualification compared to investment properties. You might even be able to qualify for alternatives like FHA loans, if you plan to live in one of the units. Conventional loans usually require a larger down payment, especially if rental income is being counted toward your qualifications. However, if you're buying a duplex purely as an investment, which means you won't live in either unit, you're going to rent them both out, you should expect a higher down payment. Sometimes it's 20 to 25% and potentially higher interest rates. So when applying for a mortgage, lenders will often consider a portion of the expected rental income to help you qualify. And that can work in your favor, but be aware that lenders typically only count 75% of rental income toward your qualifying income to account for vacancies and other potential issues. What about resale value? Duplexes can be a bit trickier to resell compared to single family homes because they are so niche. The buyer pool for duplexes is smaller, and you're generally appealing to investors or owner occupants who are specifically looking for an income generating property. Because of this, the rental market can be less competitive when it's time to sell, and your property might take longer to actually sell. So that said, a well-maintained duplex in a desirable area can still be a really attractive asset, especially if it comes with a strong rental history and high occupancy rates. Buyers love to see consistent, predictable cash flow. Location also matters. Urban areas, college towns, regions with tight housing markets, these all tend to have higher demand for duplexes, both for renters and for future buyers. What about maintenance? Owning a duplex means doubling your maintenance responsibilities because there's two units. Even if the second unit is generating rent, you're still responsible for ensuring both units remain in good condition. So just some common maintenance issues to plan for might be plumbing and electrical repairs. There's two kitchens, two bathrooms at minimum. Roof and structural upkeep for both units, landscaping and exterior maintenance, and heating and cooling system for both units. If you share walls, driveways, or outdoor spaces with your tenant, disputes over maintenance responsibilities can come up, so be proactive about setting clear boundaries and expectations from the beginning. And expect emergencies. A tenant's plumbing issue at 2 a.m. becomes your issue too, whether you're home or not. A lot of duplex owners hire rental property managers, even for small properties, to help kind of manage those types of things. But that's also an additional cost, which you'll need to factor into your planning, of course. Next, the issue of living next to your tenants. If you're living in one side of the duplex, your experience will depend heavily on your relationship with your tenants. At best, it can be pleasant, convenient, and a good experience. At worst, it can become really uncomfortable if boundaries aren't clearly established. So you need to be prepared to enforce lease terms, even if you're living next door. And that can mean having difficult conversations about late rent or noise complaints or property damage or any other lease violations. Really important to screen tenants carefully, verify income, check references, review their rental history. And remember, you're not just choosing a tenant, you're choosing a neighbor. So be mindful that your presence can impact the tenant's sense of privacy also. Some tenants might feel uncomfortable living so close to their landlord, which could affect your ability to attract and keep renters. Few other considerations: zoning and legal. Before you buy a duplex, make sure it's properly zoned. You understand the local laws governing rental properties. Some municipalities have stricter rules about rental licensing, inspection, safety, etc. So be sure you check up on those things. Insurance. You want to make sure your insurance is appropriate for duplexes. You'll need a policy covering both personal residence and the rental property, and often falls under a landlord insurance policy, even if you live in one of the units. And that covers things like property damage, liability issues, loss of rental income if it becomes uninhabitable. So be sure you look into all the insurance ramifications. And the emotional and time commitment is a consideration. It's sometimes more emotional bandwidth than owning a traditional single family home. You're not just a homeowner, you're a landlord, a maintenance manager, and sometimes even a conflict negotiator, because you're living right there with your tenant, basically. If your schedule is already pretty full and you prefer a more hands-off living experience, a duplex might not be a great fit unless you hire help with it. On the other hand, let's say you're very organized, you communicate really well, you're ready for responsibility, you're good at setting boundaries. Owning a duplex can be a really good wealth building tool if you can manage it. So ultimately, is a duplex right for you? It can have some financial benefits, including the potential to live at a reduced cost because the rental income can offset your mortgage. It can be great for cash flow, but it does have risks. It does have some high demands. So be careful. Just evaluate your willingness to be a landlord and your willingness to live next to your tenant and manage those boundaries successfully. So could be a good wealth building tool. Just make sure you're ready for it and everything that comes with it. All right. With that, as always, you can reach me on the web at elevationfinancial.com if you have any questions, or if you'd like to book a free consultation online, you're welcome to do that on my website. We can chat about whatever's on your mind, or maybe even about becoming a client if that interests you. Also, I'm pretty much on every social property if you want to find me there. And again, website elevationfinancial.com. Thanks for joining me today. Have a great day. We will see you next time.